Can you hear me, Daniel?
Can hear you now. Would you like
Can you
to
hear
share?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. We're just sharing screen, yes?
So Dawid is from Bloemfontein, and he's going to talk to us about the Boyden Observatory and the museum, which he's done some sterling work on the past few years.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you see it?
No.
Okay, let me just try again.
Yes, we can see
Can
it
you see it
now.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That is good. Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Daniel and team, and also my greetings to Chris and Oka there. I see I'm the only center represented here today, Bloemfontein Center. Just in short, what we're doing as a center, this is Thursday, last Thursday at Boyden, we had 200 first year students, physics first year students, which we took through the ropes of the telescopes and the rest of Boyden that it can offer. Here we have what we do about every Saturday evening. So there we have learners looking through the Alvin Clark telescope, visiting the big telescope. This is the groups we had this year, from October last year to September this year, and we as a societies had about 16,000 people going through Boyden only last year. So that is something we are very proud of. But I'm going to talk about the museum we are helping as a heritage part of the society of the Centrum, the Bloemfontein Centrum at Boyden. Here's a quick overview of the premises at Boyden. The museum is that building over there, and a bit of it's over here. Here we have the auditorium, the 60-inch over here, some other telescopes in this direction. We've got two robotic telescopes, one from Ireland and one from Spain, and we're getting another one from the Czech Republic. So the two legs are the educational legs. That's where we're helping as the Centrum, and the other legs is as the physics leg that's been done by the Department of Physics. All right, so in this building we find the museum that we are creating, documenting and displaying Boyden's wonderful history, and the Lamontasie as well. There's the entrance. There we go. First of all, to the library. I opened this exhibit only 2 weeks ago. So this is a wide angle picture of the library. The 5,000 books, I had to catalog each book, but it was wonderful. It was like Tutankhamun's tomb, opening up and see all the wonderful things for all the old astronomers. There's to the one side, there's to the other side. We begin with, let me just see. Okay, this is the exhibit I have of the atlases. Right, so this one is the oldest atlas I found at Boyden. It's 1872. This one is a wonderful hand-drawn atlas by one Wolfgang Schmidt from 1840. I discovered there's only two in the world. We've got one, and one is at British Library. Then we've got the Argentina Armatura over here. It's a whole set of iron-drawn atlases, and a newer one from the 1950s over there. So I just want to show the people that, you know, there were times before computers, and the people actually had to use these atlases to come away with. All right, so these are two of the old directors. This is Edward Pickering. I discovered some of these books, and books with notes in that belonged to him. This is William Bond, not James Bond, William Bond. So it was 006, I think. He was the first director, 1839, of Harvard College Observatory. Some of his books that I also discovered at Boyden, very old books. Over there's old Parskavopoulos, his whole library that he donated to Boyden just before his death, and Alan Jarrett from 1968 to 1989. He was director there, and this is his library that his daughter donated to us. All right, so this is the staff of 1953 in the library, and this is now the photographic atlases. This is the first ever photographic atlas, Palisa Wolf, that I also discovered at Boyden. And this one is over here is the first photographic atlas of the Great Magellanic Cloud, taken from Boyden by Paul Hodge in the 1960s. Right, now I didn't forget you guys at the Cape Observatory. So this is, I've got a lot of Cape Observatory annals here, but I concentrated now on this one to display. That one is Piazzi. A book that he wrote. He took the first picture of any observatory when he worked at Cape Observatory. This is the photographic, the world's first photographic, not atlas what's work on, but anyway, between Kaptein and Gill catalog, first photographic catalog, which you have a whole set of, and there you have a biography of old Gill. Then I also did not forget the Union Observatory. We also have a set of Union Observatory books, and this is Ines that saw the first time the Halley's Comet in 1910, and also the discovery there of Proxima Centauri by the Union, by Ines, or the Union Observatory. And then, which made Boyden famous, except that I'm working there. That's a joke. You may laugh now. That is, this is Henrietta Leavitt's first recognition of the Cepheid, the variable stars, which she discovered, which opened up the universe for us. And there's Annie Jump Cannon that also had a major influence in the cataloging of 350,000 stars for the plates from Boyden Observatory. Okay, the next exhibit will be the glass universe. All right, so I discovered this in a drawer at Boyden, literally in the drawer. I opened it up and said, what's this? I did some research and I found out this will be the first photographic atlas of the whole sky in the world, 1903, done by Edward Pickering. All right, so this is the camera that took the southern part, the southern hemisphere's photographs of this photographic atlas. The 1-inch Cook telescope there is in at Harvard, and there he's been used here at Boyden by Michael Bester. And here you have the 55 plates put in sequence like a big puzzle. Right, so I took the huge massive task to scan each plate, put it into astrometry.net to see what's on it and where exactly it is in the sky. And then I simplified it a bit. I created from what was it? What I can't remember the program, but I mean I created the positive Aladdin Atlas, Sky Atlas. I created the positive of each negative, but because I saw that most people, young people especially, do not know what negative is. They have no idea. So I created a positive next to the negative, and on each plate I exaggerated an object, a constellation, and at least one star, so that the people can see that little black dot, exactly what it looks like here on top, right? Then I had all these 55 plates on a screen at the exhibit, and it's like a video. People can see what they are looking at. It's not just a few black dots. Even Edward Pickering didn't know what it was. But it's amazing to see that a little black dot like that one there is actually a galaxy containing 100,000 million stars and more. Then we have the common mirror, made and figured by Andrew Common. He wasn't common, he was quite a clever guy, because with this mirror he built the biggest telescope in the world for 1890 in his backyard. Harvard bought this mirror from his estate for the big telescope here at Boyden. They found it too thin, and they replaced it in 1968 with a big and a thick mirror. Right, so this is there on top. I just took a few of the object that was taken by this common mirror, and next to it I have a Hubble object of the same, our picture of the same object, just to see how the technology has been moved on since 60, 80 years ago. All right, so this common mirror, so it was the biggest telescope in the world in 1890. This mirror, British Museum asked if I may donate this mirror to them. I said, no, I won't. Right, so here at the bottom is now the little bit history of the big telescope, the building over there, and some of the other pictures. The Bester is at the Newtonian focus of this telescope. It didn't have a mirror, a hole in the mirror, so you had to go up in the loft and stand there and balance yourself. This is some of the instruments that was used. This is the secondary mirror. There you can see it over there. The spectrograph, there it is there. And then the photographic plate holder as well. And then this is polarimeter used by Oscar Smith over there, all on top of the Newtonian focus. This is how we got it in. It was a job, believe me, that was a job. We had to figure it out. Some said break a hole in the roof, and then he let it down from the roof. Then I said, well, let's put some wheels on the container and see if you can wheel it in, which worked. Okay, this is the Lamont-Hassey Observatory exhibit. All right, if you stood in the old Lamont-Hassey, that's in the middle of Bloemfontein on Neighborhood, built by University of Michigan 1928 for the study of double stars, you will see that is what you would have looked like, right? So this is the whole observatory and its history here from Lamont and Hassey down through its dismay over there. And Rossiter, Hassey died on his way here, so Rossiter, his colleague took over, and he has the world record for 5,534 stars. Taken from this double stars to study it here from Bloemfontein. So we've got the world record for one single observer studying double stars. And there we have discovered this micrometer at Boyden in the storeroom there that actually belonged to this observatory. So that was for me quite an amazing find. So this is where we found the telescope that was in that observatory, in the veld, like this. And then Marty got some very much funds together, and we had it re-erected in front of its old building. And the first visitors to look was these two giraffes. So they were three long necks together. And then we transformed it into the Naval Planetarium, the first digital planetarium in Africa. Wonderful place for it to be. And then this is the Slifer Mars camera, which we discovered, would you believe, behind the elephant camp in the zoo, where it was stored for some reason, but luckily we got it. And then we found out that it belonged to Slifer, who was here in 1939, 54 and 56 to take 60,000 photographs of Mars. And with this camera, this exact same camera, he took the very first color picture of Mars from Bloemfontein, from Lamont-Hassey Observatory in 1939. So this is very much a important instrument in the history of photography. Right, so this is a very important exhibit we have. We are displaying it in its case as we found it, with the roughage and all. Right. So there's a closer picture of it. You find here, you've put in your plate here. On each plate you have about 30 to 40 pictures of Mars, about 8 millimeters in diameter. So that was easy. And that was the best photographs of Mars taken for the time. Okay, Roberts. Here we have Alexander Roberts' exhibit. Donated to Boyden was his books by his daughter in 1938. We also discovered here all his papers. So he studied variable stars from 1891 to 1938. He was the only one in the Southern Hemisphere who did that. So British Library gave Oke and his colleagues a huge grant to digitize all his work. And they are still almost finished, still busy with it, or finished with these, I believe, but still busy with some of the other Boyden stuff. And this is his biggest find of all. I discovered this. The Ross, someone just mentioned the Ross telescope, but this is the Ross telescope that Roberts used for most of the time. It was manufactured in 1838. I discovered this in a garage in Gauteng. Don't ask, but I thank God I discovered it. All right, so this is the Roberts exhibit, and this is Oke and his team who visited Boyden in 2019 with this mammoth task of digitizing all his work. He made 70,000 observations. So we are glad that Oke and his team are doing it. It is really a wonderful work and the legacy for generations to come. Now we are the 13-inch telescope. The exhibit we're having there around the telescope, I had some light boxes to discover. This will be all the objects we are usually looking through at the telescope, for the viewers, for the children and the public, and to show them what it is. There is Omega Centauri with 10 billion stars in it and so on, just to show them the scale on what they're watching. Then I have the history of the 13-inch telescope. For those of you that know, 13-inch Alvin Clark telescope at Boyden took the very first pictures of Mars. Very first pictures of Mars was taken from that telescope from Harvard in 1888 by William Pickering. So we are very proud of that. And I've got the plates for some of those first pictures donated by Harvard to us. So we're very proud of that. There's a bit more light with the telescope here in the foreground. And then I have the circle of Mars. I will not go into that. It's going to take quite a long time. But then that you can it starts with William, it goes all around right to Mars itself, and then way back and again at the telescope. Right. So that is the circle of Mars, but I can do that at another time. Then we have, I discovered two of the prisms or prism objectives that was used for this telescope. And it was put literally on top of the telescope, on top of the lens there. And here I discovered one of the plates for used by this prism here over here to showing the spectrum of the star. And there you have a visual. And then I also have exactly the logbook when this picture was taken. Okay, so Annie Jump Cannon used most of these 150,000 photographic plates taken by this telescope to catalog I'm looking for the word now. To catalog stars according to their spectrum. So that is what she did, and very huge part that this telescope was playing in that aspect. So this is a micrometer used by William Pickering, and remember that this was done before photography. So Boyden Harvard College Observatory comes a long way, just even before photography. So before that, they were using micrometers to measure distances and angles and so on. And there's a little something for you, for all of you who are more attended to looking at the stars than being romantic. And well, that's about it. I thank you. And I'm showing you this picture of James Webb because I want you to remember that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Now, when Edward Pickering sold that photographic atlas of the whole sky for $15 in 1903, few was interested because they said this photography thing will not last. Right, so look where we are now. Right, I thank you. Daniel, was that quick enough?
Thank you, Dawid. That was fantastic. I think just an incredible job you've done at Boyden. The museum looks amazing, and it's even more amazing than it was when I was last there. So I have to come visit again soon. Comment on the chat here just from Tim Cooper, echoing that just wonderful what you've created. And then I don't know if there's any questions in the room. Pakalani's got a question here.
Yeah, thanks, David. So, so recently I attended this ASSA Astronomy conference that was hosted by the University there of the Free State, by I think your colleagues Peter Meikis and
yeah.
So I then spent a weekend in Bloemfontein. So as I was searching through the sites, various internet sites, so I saw that the Naval Hill and the Boyden Observatory are actually listed as one of the top 10 tourist places to visit when you are in Bloemfontein. I mean, this was, several sites which actually listed you guys as well. So I thought that was very interesting. It must mean that you guys are really profiling what we're doing there very well. I just have a question as to, in terms of the people that visit Bloemfontein from a sort of tourist, are you getting good numbers coming through the planetarium and the observatory? And then the second question is you're also hosting some international telescopes there. You mentioned Ireland and also maybe Czechoslovakia, the Republic of Czech. So how is the light pollution there at the site?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, yeah, we are very proud of Boyden and the planetarium. Marty will speak later on about the planetarium more. I just want to mention that we have been granted by the International Astronomical Union as an outstanding astronomical heritage, and it's part of the UNESCO program. So we are very proud of that by Gudrun Wolfschmidt. Right, we are always sold out. Look, Bloemfontein is not a tourist destination. So but people come here, sport and all kinds of stuff. But we are always sold out. Always. It is just grace from God that we are always sold out. Right, the light pollution. Nowadays, the instruments that they use, the spectrographs and the photometers and so on, it's amazing, but it cuts out light pollution totally. Totally. We are building now for the 60-inch telescope. They are busy building a new spectrograph. It is tailor-fit for the 60-inch telescope. And like I said, they make it in such a way that it cuts out your light pollution that we have from Bloemfontein. So that is amazing. So we can go on doing cutting edge research, even though we are close to a city. Yeah. Chris, you have a question?
Yes, firstly, well done to everybody. It's really gratifying to see that Boyden has a new lease on life. I also remember when it was very much under threat, the city council wanted to turn it into a little sort of personal playground for the councillors, and so on and so forth. So I'm very happy to see what you've all done. It's a tremendous thing. So I think we must all give a vote of thanks to you for hard work. Now I know that the Bloemfontein Centre is very, very busy, and you can see some of the results here. But you've been conspicuously absent and quiet when it comes to interacting with the rest of ASSA. I would very much like to see that you sort of come back into the fold and engage more widely with us. I know you're very busy, but we would really enjoy more interaction with you.
Well, thank you. Marty is the chairman, so later you can talk to him. Mention this to him. I'm shifting the blame.
We like you in your personal capacity too, Dawid. If only for the jokes.
The jokes.
A couple of other last just comments congratulating you on the chat. Thank you once again for the talk and congratulations once again.